Everyone, it's a Miserable Movie Man back once again with another video. So I just finished season 3 of Reacher. I know it's been out for a while, but I thought I wanted to give a fairly quick review on my thoughts of it. I do enjoy the Reacher show. I've been watching it since it came out. I think it's a great show to watch. But I thought season 3 was a little bit of a letdown. I thought it was good in some areas, but not so great in others. I must first admit that I haven't read the Reacher novels, so I don't know how close this is to the book it's based on, which I think is called Persuader. And of course, they went in a different direction this season, getting Reacher undercover in the crime boss gang. Just to let everyone know, there's spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen season 3 of Reacher yet, go watch it and then come and watch the video afterwards. But, they had to make things maybe a little bit different and have Reacher, actively undercover. I thought that was okay. I mean, obviously there was a lot of tension generated. Is Reacher's cover going to get blown? How's he going to deal with people? What happens if someone finds out who he is? Well, we find out pretty early on. If anyone finds out who he is, he just kills them, throws the body in the lake, and they're gone. That was a fairly simple, means of disposal there. So I think those elements of tension went away pretty quickly for me, and it was a little bit too easy for him to dispose of people all the time like that. Of course, they had, more intrigue and tension. Of course, they had more situations like that with the bodyguard that was kidnapped, and also, with the other person that was undercover, I guess, that we find out later on. I actually wanted more intrigue and investigation. I mean, I think that's where I enjoy watching Reacher. It's almost like a really smart procedural drama for me, kind of like a CSI type of thing. I want Reacher to be using his brain, figuring things out, investigating people, trying to understand what's going on. And there wasn't a whole lot of that in this. Yes, they were trying to figure out whether it was drugs or guns, and ended up being guns, but, whatever, it's still someone doing something bad. And so I think they tried to put Reacher in a lot more situations this time to see how he would deal with stuff, what he would say, how he would act. It's very particular, like, I'm going to stop here, they're going to think I'm going to get coffee, I have exactly this much time to talk to you. Okay, I get it, the first time, fair enough. By the fifth time, wore off a little bit. And also, it's supposed to be written smart, but is it really that plausible? Like, someone's supposed to get a cup of coffee, they don't have coffee or whatever, so it was one of those things where I didn't need to see as much of that. Also, as I said, they were putting him in with a DEA team, so it felt really like it wasn't so much of his story, even though we find out there's a revenge element to it. But, it felt like more he was in with the DEA folks, and he was sort of enabling them to get their CI out. And, those supporting folks were okay for me. We've seen them before. Villanueva, the cop about to retire, bit of a grumpy, gruff old man. And Duffy, the hard-nosed female cop trying to act more manly than the men. So stereotypes we've seen before. There wasn't anything particularly new about them. I wasn't quite sure with Duffy's obsession with the CI. I mean, I know maybe thinks she lost her grandma and treating the other lady like a grandma and really wants to get her granddaughter back. But it was a little bit, almost malice level obsession for me. So it was a bit strange to see. I thought Villeneuve was okay. We all know the stereotype of the retired cop about to die, and they obviously knew that and referenced it and threw it on its head a little bit. But what was he really in there for? Can't really fight, can't really, sort of run around quickly. So I don't know whether they were just doing that to see how effective Reacher was. I thought the romance was a little bit forced. Reacher has to fall in love with someone every season. That's probably, he has to have sex with at least one person every season. But it seemed a bit forced to me. I know Duffy sort of warmed to him, and she's one of those people that doesn't like to stick around. And maybe she's like almost a female version of Reacher. And that was almost like Lethal Weapon 3, with Riggs finding the female version of him and Rene Russo. But I think they could have played it better. Like, if they are sort of starting to fall for each other, would they want to put each other in danger? Could they play on that tension even more? I mean, Neely asks him to have Duffy sit it out, and he goes, I can't even convince her of anything, so why would I ask? But, they could have had that tension escalate a little bit more, maybe for more interesting conversations, perhaps. I don't know. It wasn't, the romance element was a bit secondary to me. I didn't think it was actually needed. Reacher's cover gets blown, early on, so I was kind of in this season just waiting. Well, maybe not early on, but midway through. I was just kind of waiting for the end. I knew there was going to be a showdown. I knew a big gunfight. The action, I think, is handled pretty well in this show. It's good action, good stunts, good fighting. I know Alan Richardson does a great job because you can easily see that it's him in the scene. So he's a very hands-on actor with all the stunts and the fighting. So that was really enjoyable to see. But, we've seen this type of stuff 1,000 times. We've seen it in so many cop shows, so many action shows. It wasn't as interesting to me as the plot elements, the story elements, the character elements, the, using your brain for everything elements. So, I think for me that was something that could have been made out more. And yeah, we have this mystery with Quinn and McCabe and the person that Reacher killed and managed to stay alive, even having a bullet to head and falling, pretty far down into a lake. Reacher's unlucky and he has a man from his past. The most dangerous man alive, Joseph Quinn. Or is he McCabe? Is this the man you thought you killed? The way that they referenced everything in that was a little bit ham-handed for me, a little bit heavy. The backstory was fine. Reacher's first sort of protege that really gets messed up a little bit, of course, and Reacher's seeking revenge now. That's his whole sole purpose, really, in this show. But for somebody that's supposed to be the most dangerous man alive, the most dangerous criminal out there, he didn't seem that dangerous to me. He barks at people a lot. Yeah, he's ruthless and vicious, and when he's got the upper hand, when he's got people around him and a gun, it makes you do things like cut off your ear to show how badass he is. It's almost Quentin Tarantino-esque. But a high-level crime boss, like criminal mastermind, most dangerous man on the planet, the Russian guy is more dangerous than this dude. Like, I didn't get it. Like, they built him up so much, and he really disappointed in that respect for me. They didn't have enough scenes with him anyway. They just showed his vicious side, but I wanted to see more of his, crime boss level element. All he did was muscle on in Beck and take over his operation, and before they muscled in on someone else and took over their operation, and then killed everyone and left. That doesn't seem like genius level criminal to me. And of course he knows people, so he pays everyone off. Again, he's just bribing people. I mean, this is not Lex Luthor level genius we're talking about here. So, as a villain for Reacher, I thought he was a bit weak. They should have had someone as smart as Reacher as a villain, and this guy didn't seem that way. I thought it was, like, Beck was a more interesting character to me. Drug runner, loves his son, sort of conflicted, lost his wife early on. That was a way more interesting character to me, and we should have had more of it. And of course, Anthony Michael Hall is a great actor, so I think he really was electric in every scene he was in. He stole every scene he was in. When Beck's on screen, you want to watch and hear what he has to say. And speaking of which, obviously with Reacher, they had to have someone bigger than him for him to have a challenge. Paulie, who was not only big, but faster than Reacher thought. And everyone knew that an end fight was going to happen. We were all waiting for it, and of course it did happen. They dragged it out a little bit. It was a bit of a comedic scene for me, along like Home Alone-esque or Naked Gun-esque, where it just, I think the guy's dead. It was like from Scream or something. Like he just keeps coming back and keeps coming back and keeps coming back. I mean, the way that he strung Reacher up and the way that Reacher sort of got out of it using his strength, I thought was great. Again, I wanted to see Reacher use his brain more when fighting the dude, and he does that at the end with the gun, right? But before that, he could use his brain in many ways. So I thought that fight was pretty dragged out, and a little bit obvious that when you see Paulie, they're going to set up to be antagonists for each other and have a big fight at the end. Did we have to see Reacher's butt so many times? Maybe there's a big female audience that have been clamoring for it, but I don't need to see Alan Rickman in underwear almost every other episode or get his butt out regularly. It's just not something I need to see when I'm watching Reacher. If it drags female audience viewers in, then great. I hope the numbers go up and the series keeps getting made. But yeah, didn't need to see so much of it. And again, I'm not espousing any nudity needed really in this show. It's not a show about sensuality or love or relationships or anything. So, if you get nudity, it's just there for nudity's sake, which I don't think helps or serves the plot in any way. I want to mention a little bit about Alan Richards' acting, because I think he's a good actor. I've seen him in a lot of stuff he did, and I've seen him in Titans and Smallville and obviously Reacher and other things. And I think Alan Richards is a good actor. But there were times in this show I felt he wasn't really on point. He wasn't 100%. There were times where he was talking or with facial expressions. It felt very forced. Now, maybe he was trying to convey tension in the scene. Maybe he was trying to emote that nervousness about Reacher being undercover. I don't know. But there were times where when he was sort of talking or speaking or trying to act, it just felt subpar to me. Just watching it, Reacher seems to be most watchable, comfortable, and enjoyable when he's acting, when he's in his element, when he's in investigative mode or beat up mode or I'm smarter than everyone else talking about it mode. But there were elements in this show where he was walking around and talking and trying to give lines about why things happened the way they did, or trying to keep people on side, or trying to not blow his cover. It wasn't great acting to me. And people may not like the Tom Cruise version. I still like it. But I think that is where you can kind of see the difference. Tom Cruise is a world-class actor. I mean, top of the game, really, for many people, and myself included. And I think that you can see it. Like when you watch Tom Cruise as Reacher, even though he's not the size, you can just see the brain, you can see the intelligence. The way he delivers his lines is really well done. And I think you can see the gulf between him and Alan Ritchson in season 3, way more than season 1 and 2. And again, I'm not trying to knock Alan Ritchson. I think he's a good actor, but there were plenty of times in season 3 where I thought he fell short of the mark for me. As I said, I thought Anthony Michael was really good and played that character really well. And the son, Richard, was okay. We've seen that before in plenty of gangster movies where the son is a mollycoddled person that they keep safe and is the fall. I mean, if Villanueva hadn't asked him to run, then his dad might still be alive. That was a bit of a, forced plot twist. And I know throughout the show, Reacher's just saying matter-of-fact things to people to show that he's pure, hard, cold logic. Again, I think there were times it worked and times it didn't. So the writing was good, but not great for me. Everyone acted pretty well, though, I would say. It was a good cast, good acting. Okay, I enjoyed it. Didn't like it as much as seasons 1 and 2. Rambled on a little bit longer than I would have wanted to. But there you go. That is my review of Reacher Season 3. Let me know what you think of in the comments below. Did you agree, disagree? Did you like what I had to say? As usual, please like, share, subscribe to help support the channel. And catch you next time.